Three of three. Alright, the power of three is a little technique in writing that we're going to use. Alright, some people like to call it the magic three for all you lassers out there. Alright, no worries, we can call it the magic three if you want, but we're going to call it, for the purpose of this video, the power of three. Okay, so for this, we're going to look at a story, and I'm going to show you how many authors like to use this power of three to enhance their writing. I love Lily's Purple Plastic Purse by Kevin Henkes. You can see that's him. We're going to look at a couple passages in this book so I can show you how Henkes uses the power of three. Let's look at the way that Henkes describes Mr. Slinger, the kindergarten teacher. In this passage it says, Mr. Slinger was as sharp as a tack. He wore artistic shirts, he wore glasses on a chain around his neck, and he wore a different colored tie for each day of the week. The author is listing three different things that the character wore, and he's using that, and we call that the power of three. There is some similarity here because he repeats the word. He wore, and he wore three specific times, okay? So the rule of three is pretty simple. To make your writing more interesting and memorable, sprinkle some threes throughout your writing. This might mean repeating a word or phrase 3 times, including sets of threes throughout, characters, etc., or listing 3 things using commas in a series. So I want you to remember this. I'm going to display it at the end of the video too, because this is what you're going to be responsible for doing today. Let's look at another part of Henkes' story to show you how he uses the rule of three again. I'll show you how Henkes takes 3 things using a comma in his series. It says, during sharing time, Lily demonstrated the many uses and unique qualities of her purple plastic purse, her shiny quarters, and her glittering movie star sunglasses. Henkes uses the listing 3 things here to make his writing more memorable and enhanced. Alright, so what can you do in your writing? Well, let's say you wanted to write this. The baby cried. Well, instead of writing the baby cried, maybe you want to stress how much the baby cried, and you say the baby cried and cried and cried. That sounds like every night of my life I have a baby. So you could also do that with something else. Let's say you want to say you ran errands. Well, you could say you went to the post office, and to the grocery store, and to the library. There are 3 things in that statement. 3 different places. It is more descriptive. And finally, Mary was intelligent. How could you say that using the power of 3? Are you thinking about a different way that you could use this, the power of 3? Mary was smart, wise, intelligent. Maybe you can say and intelligent there. It just gives a little bit more information and it sounds better in your writing. So I want you to come back to this screen a couple times. I might even show it at the end of the slide. But these are what you're going to try and do. The power of 3. You're going to try and repeat a word or phrase 3 times, include sets of 3 throughout your story, or list 3 things using a comma in a series. Try and do this more than 1 time in your writing. So let's look at my writing now, how we're going to do this. I want you to pause the video and read my introduction again. I'm just going to highlight this section right here because I'm going to change this using the power of 3. So pause the video, read this, and then resume. Alright, so what I want to do here is right now it says Sam Keating came out of her house. It says the sun flickered through the trees and the wind blew on her face. Well, that's kind of a power of 2, which isn't very powerful. So we need to add something else there. So what could I possibly add? Can I add a third thing? So I added one more thing, one more descriptive word to my introduction. See, I added this, and now it has now become, boom, power of 3. This is the second part of my story. It's a different part. It's towards the middle now. And I want you to see how I'm going to do a different part of the power of 3. I'm going to try repeating the same word 3 times. So right now I wrote, Sam sat patiently. She was waiting for the practice to begin. Next, June leaned over to her. Sam, let me borrow your headphones. I left mine at home. Sam thought about it for a second. June, last week you borrowed my pencil and you lost it. Don't lose these headphones. No problem, Sammy. Sam handed June the headphones. For the next minute, the class worked hard. The next 40 minutes, the class worked hard. Now, I want to stress that they worked really hard. So what I'm going to do here is write down they worked and worked and by repeating that word, it makes you think about how much they worked. All right, I could write the class worked hard. I can even take this part out and say for the next 40 minutes they worked and worked and worked. It shows how hard they were working the entire time. It's just a different strategy to add more voice and elaboration to your writing. So let's come back to this slide, the power of 3. These are 3 strategies I want you to try several times in your own writing. And if you want a little bit of a remember, here are the examples we talked about at the beginning part of this slide. Sound good? Good luck. I'm looking forward to seeing how much you're able to use the power of 3 in your own writing.